This is the first piece in months that I don't have set aside for a client. So that means I get total creative freedom here. Let's see how much we can flip this for and sell on Facebook Marketplace. Let's get to work.
I bought this piece for $40, which is an absolute steal for such a nice piece. For the largest profits, I look for large size dressers with lots of drawers. The lines are sleek and have a lot of inherent interest. And since I have creative freedom, I want to do a throwback Pottery Barn style. I used to do this on repeat and I still think it sells really well. So if you've always wanted a Pottery Barn dresser but don't have that budget, this one's for you. I like to start out sanding the drawers while they're still on the dresser. I find it keeps them nicely in order and I can get around all of the edges. Usually when I have 3-inch hole centers, I drill a single hole in the middle and replace it with a knob. But to save myself some time here, I decided just to buy 3-inch poles. And I usually find such short poles to be a little bit dated. But y'all, I found the best set of poles. I'll show you them later on in this video. They have been so popular. I've done a few pieces since this one, and everyone keeps requesting these poles. So we may have finally found the perfect shorter hole pole option that is super trendy and sells really well. You know the drill. When the drawers are overset like this one, you need to switch between working with the drawers in, then with the drawers out. So once my drawers are done, I wipe them back and set them aside. But now I have full access to the main frame of the dresser and I can make sure I get into all the corners. Another pro tip, mark your drawer location on the back side so you know exactly how it goes back together. Older furniture was made different than IKEA. These drawers are usually very specific to which slider it'll go back on. I've made this mistake before and it's cost me a lot of time trying to play Jenga to fit these drawers back together. Now that we have our frame available, let's get our scuff sand complete. Product won't stick well to your pieces unless you rough up the surface, so you don't even need to use a heavy-duty sander. You can use something as simple as like a sanding pad from the hardware store, and this entire flip is something that you don't need any fancy equipment for. Anyone can do this flip. If you do want to invest in some fancy equipment, I'd recommend a jigsaw. I use this on most of my flips and it's an awesome way to cut away dated trends. I trimmed off just a small detail from the base, but I think that goes a really long way for modernizing it. People want the old school feel, but without these weird vampire fang bases. Cut them off. And that's it for prep. When you buy the right pieces, you can save hours on prep work. So although this was a super cheap find, this was not cheap in quality. It's important to identify which is what and how to navigate purchasing good quality furniture, but for low prices. As I'm applying primer with my sprayer, but you can totally just use a brush. I never thought I'd say this, but this is the one look where more brush strokes is actually better. And naturally, when I was already spraying, I noticed that I forgot to tape up the front of the drawer slides. I try to protect the slides from paint. I think it helps keep them sliding well and it's easier on the eyes as well. So overall, the extra step of taping them is definitely a more professional look. So when spraying the front, I turn my sprayer from a wide fan down to a small circle. Using a small circle spray pattern keeps the product from flooding the inside of the frame. However, with the smaller circle, it's putting out the same amount of product, so it's a lot more concentrated. I turn down my fan speed to be super, super low. It's easy to apply way too much force and product and end up with a bad finish. So in summary, use a low speed, turn your nozzle to a diagonal so it shoots a circular spray pattern, and you should be good to go for spraying the fronts of these. Drawers in, drawers out, back hurts. It's just the cycle. You could keep the drawers in the entire time, but you need to go back in at the end with a brush and manually paint all those spots that you missed. To me, I'm really tight on time, so I just like to use my sprayer. Oh, and don't forget to pop out the drawers an inch after you spray them. We don't want any sticking to the frame. Is someone keeping track of how many drawers I'm moving? This is exhausting to watch. Maybe I should have just used a brush after all. Regardless, pick your favorite matte beige color and let's get to work. Key point here is to use a matte finish. Satin is way too glossy and slippery. My color of choice is called Antler Velvet, and I use it for all my faux wood finishes. Once it's dry, you guessed it, drawers back in. Sometimes I wish I got a smaller 6-drawer dresser instead of, I don't even know how many these are. All these drawers are making my back hurt. But you know what? Spray these down too and don't skimp. I don't want to be taking these drawers in and out any more than I need to. Time for coat number 2. Okay, and that's it. Just kidding. I know you don't want a matte beige dresser. Our star product today is Rust-Oleum's Aged Glaze Stain. This is a water-based gel stain that will act like our wood grain. And pull in close here. I'll tell you a secret. I've used wood graining tools, I've used brooms to create wood grain texture, but in the end, this fluffy 4-inch deck brush does just as good a job and requires less time. You do you, but in my eyes, I can't see the difference. It's pretty simple to apply. Mist your brush and the surface with water. There's really no right amount. If the product looks too light and watery, wipe it off and try again with less water. If the gel stain looks too dark and thick, mist it with water and see if it helps. It's kind of like cooking. Season to your heart's desire, and in the end, you really can't mess it up. The only actual rule to follow is to brush it in the direction that you want your faux wood grain to flow. So for these drawers, I want it to go from edge all the way to the other edge. So one continuous brush pattern. Don't stop halfway. Let's see it one more time for those folks in the back. Set aside the drawers to dry and move on to the base. The base part can be a bit tricky. You naturally have wood grain that goes in different directions on the front part, so it's a lot of careful attention to detail. Swipe the brush vertically for vertical pieces and horizontal for the sideways pieces. But also make sure your brush strokes don't accidentally overlap. There's a bit of a learning curve, but it's pretty intuitive. You can do it. Another challenge is that this is a much larger piece, and you have a lot of area to cover before it dries and becomes difficult to work with. I've learned that once you like how you have it, stop messing with it. It gets tacky as it dries, and you can totally ruin it by working the product for too long. My rule is that the top part is always last. The top part is arguably the most important part to get right. I don't want any accidental bumps or splatters on it, so I do it last and let it sit and dry fully before coming back to the product. The top can also be the most challenging if you're a perfectionist. It is hard to get consistent and steady 5-foot-long brush strokes. You can't really stop halfway through the surface. It will look weird. You need to pull your brush completely from one edge all the way to the other in a straight line with little shakes or bumps. And on a hot day, your product's gonna start drying quickly. So no pressure. We made it to the finish line and it's time for an easy top coat. Or so I thought the first few dozen times I did this technique. In the past, I used to use a sponge to apply my top coat to this finish, and I kid you not, the sponge would take up all of my gel stain. It ruined all of my pieces over and over and over, even if I left them to dry for days. As soon as that top coat covered sponge would swipe over my work, it was all ruined. I will only use my sprayer to top coat this product from now on, so please learn from my mistakes. Don't brush on top coat over this gel stain. And you can even just buy aerosol spray top coat at the hardware store, so you don't need a sprayer setup. Okay, are you ready for the poles? These are amazing and they've been selling so fast. Most old furniture has a really short hold distance, typically 2.5, maybe 3 inches, and I've never found a good solution to fit that. I normally had to drill new holes and fill the old ones, which adds so much extra time, but these fit perfectly and are so trendy. I have these linked below along with all the other products that I use. My last step that I do on all my solid wood pieces is to condition the drawers. It brings back life to the wood and creates a fresh new finish. I like to pretend that once the piece is done, that the job is done. But the reality is staging, taking good photos, uploading photos to social media, and making a Facebook Marketplace post can easily take another hour. But would you pay $600 for a nicely styled dresser that sells you the lifestyle of cozy and sophisticated, or a poorly lit photo in someone's dusty garage? Your photos are the sales pitch. You're not just selling a product, you're selling its potential, you're selling a brand, and you're selling a vision of what someone aspires to be. People like to be inspired when they shop. Is it cheesy? Yes. But does it work? Also yes. Let's run the numbers. How profitable is the Pottery Barn look? I bought it for $40, used about $10 in product, and $30 for poles. It sold for $600, so my take home was at $520. What do you think? Was it worth it? Stay tuned for a crazy new season that we're releasing December 1st.